Hello everyone and welcome to Ballers Live, and this is our WSL show. Welcome along. My name is Michelle Owen, and over the next 45 minutes we'll be talking all things WSL, including a look back at last weekend and looking ahead to this weekend. As you can see, I have three people with me, and one of them is Sam Miller, my co-host, ex-Spurs and West Ham player. We've also got Wynne from Bristol City and Welsh international, and Sammy Hallsworth from Cheltenham Town. So welcome along, ladies. We're going to start then by looking back and looking forward at the same time. So these are the fixtures coming up this weekend, which I think we can see any moment now. And just like magic, there it is. So some tasty fixtures coming up this weekend. Of course, the Manchester derby, we'll get into that. Aston Villa v Birmingham City, Everton v Reading, Bristol City looking to bounce back after that heavy defeat. Of course, there was a lot going on around that, which we will discuss against Spurs. West Ham are playing Brighton and Arsenal v Chelsea. Let's start with one of the Sunday fixtures then, Sam. West Ham are playing this weekend, and they played last weekend. Tell us how they got on. You were at the game, and how was it?
Yeah, so West Ham played Brighton this weekend, and I was actually at the Brighton-Aston Villa game. And surprisingly, I think people expected Brighton to maybe come out better from that game, having seen their results this season. But it was Aston Villa that got their first 3 points this season. West Ham played against Birmingham, and West Ham's first 3 points this season as well. So, yeah, for me, two brilliant games, lots of goals, 2 goals for Aston Villa. Megan, how did you find West Ham this weekend?
Yeah, I think they've obviously started not as well as they probably want to, but they showed this weekend that they're going to be fighting in around probably that middle of the table, and they've done well to get their win there, yeah.
And Brighton, Sammy, have they been a bit inconsistent this season? We've seen a mixture of results, or how have you found them so far?
Yeah, it has been a bit of a mixture. Not really been expecting it from them. Looking back, they've been quite present on social media, and you expected a much better start. I'm presuming that they're obviously working towards something much bigger. So let's hope that they get back on track and get some better results in.
Ladies, let's just have a look at those West Ham goals from the weekend, shall we?
Decent corner kick into a good area, and it's a nice volley too. And a smart stop from Hannah Hampton. Plenty of claret and blue shirts forward for this as it comes in, and it's flicked on, turned away, and then fired over the top. Plays it short, nice idea, Leon there. Angles the ball in, glancing header, and that's an own goal. Right before the half-time whistle, West Ham have drawn level. Nice delivery from Leon from a well-worked free kick. Van Egmond is in there providing the aerial threat. She's the target here. She gets the glancing header, and it looks like West Ham late on in this game have grabbed the winner. It's a lovely ball, floated in, and all she had to do was just guide it into that far corner.
Sam, you were at the game, like you say. I just wondered, from all of your perspectives, really, maybe starting with Sammy, you play in defence, to score an own goal is just the worst, isn't it? But it's the pressure from West Ham that was starting to tell there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's obviously heartbreaking turning one into your own goal. But again, as a defender, it's difficult. You can't hold off the pressure, for 90 minutes at a time. There is going to be a lapse in concentration. There are going to be times where, you do lose that man, you lose a player, or unfortunately it ricochets off you. It's just something you have to deal with, really.
What about you, Megan? Oh, sorry, go on, Sam. You're at the game. Let's get your thoughts before we go to Megan.
I was just going to say, I think Birmingham have actually exceeded expectations this season with the troubles they had, and then Carla Ward coming in, making such a difference, getting manager of the month, doing well in the FA Cup to a point, and then it's just probably a disappointing result from them. But I think this actually might be a turning point for West Ham. Now they've got their win under their belt. So sorry, Megan, what were you thinking?
No, I was going to say, was it Claudia Walker? She scored the own goal, but then she went up the other end and scored the equaliser, didn't she, at the time? So she kind of redeemed herself a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That must be when something happens in the game, you just want to make amends straight away, don't you? And looking at West Ham then, before we finish talking about them, Sammy, you touched on it there. They've been quite loud on social media. From what you've seen so far, have they started the season how you'd expect? They are playing Brighton this weekend. So what sort of thing are you expecting from this next game? We'll turn our attention to Brighton in just a second.
Yeah, obviously expecting much better things. Hopefully, they've been back at it in training more than some of us have. So hopefully they can turn it around, get a better result this weekend.
Yeah, and Megan, these are the teams you play against week in, week out. They come up against Brighton this weekend.
Yeah, like Sam said that they've ended a run of four defeats. West Ham have now, so they'll look to kick on now from this win against Birmingham.
Okay, Sam, we've got Manchester United against Arsenal. Their goals coming up. Sam, are these two teams you've had a chance to have a look at so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, I've been at some of Arsenal's games where they've just been ruthless, scored so many goals. I was at the game where Miedemar broke records, over 50 goals now for Arsenal. And I think Arsenal can do that against a lot of clubs, but the question is, can they do it against the likes of Chelsea on the weekend? And Man United, top of the table now. I mean, they've had a phenomenal season so far, beating Arsenal. So yeah, let's see the goals.
We've got some chances from Manchester United against Arsenal coming up. We'll get to the goals in just a little while if we can. We can't get to those right now. But Manchester United, if you didn't know, they beat Arsenal 1-0 at the weekend. Sam referenced there, Megan, what an incredible start they've made to the season. I think it's their best start in years, even since in the last few years, and they've done brilliantly, haven't they? The last couple of seasons, anyway. Are they what you expected in the WSL right now?
Yeah, I think they've invested a lot of money, and as you can see, they've brought in a lot of superstars this season. But even the likes of young Ella Toon has stepped up, and I think she scored 3 goals this season. They've all been the winning goals in games, so that shows how much faith that Casey Stoney's put into her. And they've always, ever since they've stepped into the Championship, they weren't here just to be a sort of mid-table bottom team. And even now they've stepped into the WSL, they're showing that they're going to compete at the top of the table. And I expect it to be a very tough game for Man City.
Yeah, Manchester City perhaps not doing as well as some people might have expected. Is that a fair comment, would you say, Sammy?
Yeah, you would have expected a better start from them. So this will be a good test this weekend, actually, with Man United on such a good run and doing so well. It would be nice to see 2 top clubs, clash. Let's just see what they've got.
Sam, have you seen much of these? And it's the Manchester derby, it's always tasty, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of Manchester City so far this season. And there's just been a mixture of results for them, really. They've had draws against the likes of Reading and Brighton, and then the defeat to the victory over Bristol. And sometimes they've looked really sharp and really creative, and then other times they haven't quite had that edge. So just seeing sort of 2 different sides to them, but you can tell what a difference the likes of Sam Mewis makes in the side, and Chloe Kelly also has really been on form for them.
Do you think it's something to do with the games they've played so far? If we have a look at the league table so far, to show the difference between the 2 Manchester clubs, it is quite a difference. And it's almost roles reversed, isn't it? Because we've been so used to Manchester City being up there every season. And I think Sam and I sat here at the start of the season and said, oh, yeah, no, they'll be up there again. But, they've both played the same amount of games, and there's a 5-point difference already. I just want to get your thoughts. If we start with you, Sam, and then maybe you can talk to the girls about it, about why there is such a disparity. I know that Gareth Taylor has been saying this week, the Manchester City manager, nothing's won in November. It's very early days. And Casey Stoney, to be fair to her, the Manchester United boss, has pretty much said the same. So she said they're just taking it a game at a time. But why is there such a disparity already?
Well, I think Casey Stoney's been building this Manchester United side for a while. She seems to get it really tactically on point. She figured out a way to beat Arsenal, having watched them. Manchester City, it seems like there's been a bit of a shake-up with Gareth Taylor coming in, where they've been so used to Nick Cushing. There's new players coming in who are still trying to gel. Maybe sometimes it is about the team just getting together and getting used to working together. And I think Manchester United, they've had a few new players come in who have slotted in well, the likes of Tobin Heath, but these are world-class players. And I just think that Man United have just been solid at the back and also finding ways to score as well. So, yeah, for me, Manchester United have been brilliant.
Yeah, and Sam, I know you played at a very good level, but if we chat to Megan, who has to face these teams, I'd imagine sometimes, Megan, that it's quite daunting when you look at some of the names on these team sheets. We've now got international superstars in the WSL, and Bristol City have got superstars of their own, but some of the players in these teams, you look at the team sheets and you're just like, wow. And this, for the neutral, is a fantastic game to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we need these games in this league, and we need players in this league to draw the attention. And it is difficult because some of the budgets from the top teams compared to the teams at the lower end of the table at the moment is huge. So we kind of need to get that right, and we need to focus on developing the league as a whole rather than just the top teams. But like you said, it's great to see these players, and it's going to be a great game. If Man City win, they're only 2 points off United, so it's very close still, even though at the minute it looks like United are running away with it a little bit.
Yeah, fantastic point. And talking of disparity, we'll come back to your game last weekend. But Sammy, Manchester United beat Arsenal 1-0 at the weekend, which we did mention just at the start of this chat. Is that a result that you saw coming? Again, we've been used to Arsenal being right up there through, I guess, historically, while the likes of us were youngsters, Arsenal were the team, weren't they? But now you see Manchester United and you see the development, and Megan touched on it there, the development that's been put into them. It can pay dividends if it's done right.
Yeah, totally agree. They've built year on year, and they've been a very competitive side, regardless, where they've been. Arsenal, you look at them, and like you say, they've been formidable. But it's quite nice to see some of these teams that are building from the bottom as such, challenging these bigger name teams, and it's quite nice to see.
Yeah, well,
we building from the bottom. They got put into the championship, didn't they? So they didn't build from the bottom.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
That's a really good point, though. That's a really good point, though, Megan. Does that just show, rather than saying building like that, the investment, that if a team can get the investment, which they have done, and you look at who's on that team, who's in that squad, and who's leading them, that's the big difference, isn't it, at the moment in the women's game? Is if we're brutally honest, a lot of it is about money.
Yeah, it is, and it never used to be with the women's game. You never used to be able to make a career out of it. So it's amazing that youngsters growing up now have that opportunity. Even for me, I never thought I would play professionally, and even though it's happened to me at the age I am now at 27, it's taken a little while, but it is great, and it's great for the women's game. But like I said, we've got to be careful that those top teams don't run away with it. We want it to be a competitive league. Look at the Championship, it's very competitive, and we want it to get back to that. So if teams can keep investing and keep developing young players as well, because we don't want to see those disappear either. So there's lots of work to be done, but like you said, the development over the recent years has been great, and we need to keep it going throughout the whole of the WSL rather than just those top teams again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Megan, you've touched on development there, and we'll come on to your game against Manchester City last weekend, and I think that's a very good point to pick up on there. But Sam, shall we move on to Everton v Reading? What's your thoughts ahead of this one? Everton played Chelsea last weekend. They lost 4-0, and Reading drew 1-1 with Spurs last weekend.
Well, for a lot of people, Everton have been sort of the surprise package of the league, really challenging up at the top. And I think what's happened now is sort of they played an FA Cup final, and you sort of have that feeling after where you're disappointed to lose it, but then you've got to bounce back so quickly because you've got league fixtures again. And then unfortunately for them, they had two key players out injured in Govan and Graham, who have been their top goal scorers. So I think that set them back a bit, but I still think they have such a talented team that they're still going to be able to get 3 points from games. And then you look at Reading, and they were disappointing disappointed to draw to Tottenham 1-0 just because they made so many chances. So I think that will actually be a very tight game, because I think it's two teams that are sort of desperate to prove a point and get all 3 points. And both teams create chances, and they've both got really talented midfield. So I'm looking forward to that one. Megan, how are you feeling about that game?
I think like you said, Everton have been a bit of the surprise package they've built over the last couple of years and showed real development this season. One player for me that stood out from Everton is Izzy Christensen. I think she's had developed more chances than any other player in the Super League at the moment. So that's something to look out for. But then obviously Reading, full of talent as well. Maybe not gelled as nicely as they could have over the last couple of seasons, but with Jess Fishlock in that midfield now, chances, goals can come at any point. So they'll be a real threat.
Megan, a lot of your Welsh international teammates are at Reading, aren't they? And a legend that you've mentioned there. How amazing to have Jess Fishlock in the WSL. Yeah. You played Everton, and it was a 2-0 result. That was right at the start of the season in September, wasn't it? So when you're playing these teams, you get a feel for what they're like. But like you say, you've got allegiances at Reading as well. So seeing some of your Welsh international teammates at Reading, is that helping with the national setup?
Yeah, definitely. Great girls, and it's great to see them all playing together. Obviously, that's going to help us when we go away on camp and things like that. And especially with Angharad and Jess in the midfield, they're building a real partnership. And I know Haz is learning off Jess all the time, so it can only be good for us. But like I said, they've got talent all over the pitch, and I expect it to be a very tight game. I think Reading have started to build nicely now, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I'm rooting for my Welsh girls, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And Sammy, two teams like Sam sort of reviewed for us there. Thoughts ahead of this one for you?
I think I agree with Megan. I think it's going to be quite a tight game. I think both teams have looked pretty solid at the moment. So yeah, but it is nice to see so many of the Welsh team back in the WSL and looking strong.
Okay, so coming up in just a while, we'll be looking forward to the other fixtures and reflecting back on what we saw last weekend, including, like I said, we'll be chatting to Megan about how she's getting on in the WSL with Bristol City this week. But coming up this weekend, we have the Midlands derby, the Birmingham derby, the Second City derby, Aston Villa v Birmingham. Wow, this is going to be a very, like I said, the Manchester derby this weekend, but we've also got the Birmingham derby. It's going to be a very tasty game. Aston Villa lost to Brighton 2-0 last weekend. And as for Birmingham, as we saw, they lost 2-1 at West Ham. Sam, talk us through what's going to be happening in this one. Maybe some big tackles. We've got some Birmingham chances to look back on in just a sec. But Sam, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, Aston Villa really impressed me against Brighton, who aren't an easy side to face. But I think tactically, again, spot on. They went through the midfield rather than coming out wide, which they usually would utilise the pace. But they know that Brighton really use their fullbacks to bomb forward. And yeah, they just got the game plan right, really. And Aston Villa, Anita Asante popped up with a goal. We don't often see that, a defender. So that was nice. And I have to say, before I move on, we've just got a question for Sammy, which is, what WSL team would you want to play for? So you can answer that.
Oh, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest. There's quite a lot of good clubs. I think probably the closest one for me would be.
You can say Bristol if you really want.
Well, the closest team would be Bristol. And well, when I was obviously back in college, I was in and around those players. I was refereeing the academy sides, and it would always look like a brilliant setup. So it would be a good club to go along to.
And how do you fancy Birmingham's chances on the weekend?
Oh, well, obviously Villa in the week had a good result against Coventry, so I presume they'll be coming off the back of that high and looking to get another result this weekend. But again, I do think Birmingham may give them a bit of a challenge, hopefully.
Let's hopefully take a look back at those goals then quickly.
So much space on this right-hand side, which Birmingham will look to exploit. Well, it was a fine ball into the front post by Mailing. And instantly, Birmingham looking to spring an attack, and there might be a chance here to grab an opener in the game. It's slotted into the corner, and it is the Blues who have the lead. Christy Murray got beyond the back line, and Claudia Walker able to get in behind to slot the ball into the corner. Goes out towards the left from Christy Murray. Angled into the area, might be a chance here for Birmingham to double their advantage, and it's off at the post, followed up and turned wide. Sent wide by Murray, another cross into the area, might break here for a chance for Birmingham, looking to add another. Walker now, tries a shot from deep, what a hit! Swerving in the air and hitting the post.
Tell you what, Sam and Megan, they're not short of chances, are they? Wow. It's got to take them, Megan. I guess is that the difference at this level? Sammy's just mentioned there that she's been in and around this level. I know Sam has been near this level as well, and I've covered it myself. And it's just taking your chances, isn't it, in these games? And they're creating plenty, aren't they, Megan?
Yeah, definitely. I think Claudia Walker's popped up there a few times. She scored a great goal against us as well, so she's obviously been a key player for them. Yeah, you don't get too many chances in this league, especially against the top teams. So you've got to make the most of it. And I think that's where kind of we felt it a bit as well this season. Obviously, defeats look tough on us, but we have created chances, and that's why we've got to be more ruthless. That's Arsenal would think they've got 29 in the league. So when you've top strikers, it does make things easy.
Yeah, absolutely, Megan. We just caught the end of that. We were just losing you slightly, but. Sam, I know next we were going to talk about Megan. If she's you still with us, Megan? Yeah, there you are. You're just frozen in time for a moment, but we've got you. We want to talk to you about what happened last weekend, and I know you probably don't want to talk about it that much. But just for a bit of context around this game, yeah, okay, it finished 8-1 to Manchester City, but I know some of the girls actually that I used to play with at Cardiff, and I saw their names, and they were being very responsible. For context, what happened is a housemate had suspected COVID, had the symptoms, and they followed the protocols, the girls did, and they had to self-isolate, which meant I believe you were without 5 first team players, and you went to the FA, you wanted the game postponed. Unfortunately for you, that didn't happen. So tell us what the game was like. Obviously a very tough one for you, and that gives some context to the scoreline, really, doesn't it? Because I know these are some of your biggest opponents and some of the toughest opponents. But when we get scorelines like this, it's disappointing for the league too, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think Tanya touched on it in the interview. These games are hard enough for us, let alone when you're missing 4 or 5 of your key players that probably would have started that game. So we won't dwell on it too much. And if you did watch the game, and I know the scoreline looks worse than it probably was. The first half we set up, we looked defensively pretty solid, and a late flurry of goals and cost us in the end. But like I said, our team is full of young players, and they're learning all the time. So games like this will be tough for them, but the resilience that they'll start to build, I'm confident that we can still turn the season around. I mean, it's still very early days, 5-6 games played, so people are ruling us out already, but we're going to compete now, and with this massive game at the weekend, if we win, we go above Tottenham. So that one win is what we need.
Yeah, Sam, you used to play for Spurs. Yeah, Sam used to play for Spurs. I know Megan and her teammates are going to be out there without Tanya this weekend because she is now self-isolating. Sam, tell us about Spurs. Tell us what to expect.
Yeah, I think Spurs are starting to get into the rhythm now. I think against Reading, it was a much better performance. If you looked at the game against Arsenal, the managers, both Kwan and Karen, were disappointed with just the desire to go out and really show what they could do. But then I think Spurs really turned it around in the Conti Cup game against Chelsea. They showed so much fight, and I think that's what they do. they defended really well, and then against Reading, they're just starting to create more chances. And I think with Alex Morgan now playing, they've got a goal scorer in her. If she can get more game time, that would be brilliant for Spurs. But just quickly, I want to say, Megan, actually, I was at the Bristol game against Crystal Palace in the Conti Cup, and for me, I got to see Bristol on the ball more, and I actually think that you pop the ball around really nicely. I think it's just, I guess you've had less possession in some of the games, but Ella Master-Antonio and Chloe Lagazzo in that midfield, obviously, being a midfielder yourself, I thought they linked up really well. How have those two been for you? Because obviously you would have seen them in training.
Yeah, obviously they're great players, and they've brought a lot of experience to a very young side. So it's nice to see them in that midfield, and they're strong players. And like I said, Ella likes to get on the ball. Chloe's got that feistiness about her. So if we can get them on the ball more in games, like you said, and start creating more chances, then we'll do okay, I think.
And Sammy, what have you thought of Tottenham? This should be actually quite a feisty game. Like Megan just said, you've got Chloe, who sort of shows that tenacity, and other players from both teams. So I think it should be a real midfield battle actually out there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. They've got some exciting players obviously coming in, but I don't think we should underestimate Bristol. Like, regardless of results, they are actually playing good football. So I think they're going to take the game to them, and let's hope they come away with it.
Absolutely, this is going to be a good one. Looking forward to it.
Spurs haven't.
Sorry, go on, Megan. Let you finish.
No, I was going to say, Spurs haven't scored from open play yet, so hopefully we can limit them a few chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't give away too much of your game plan, Megan, but we're looking forward to this one, and best of luck to you for this weekend. Wow, we've got another derby. So many derbies this weekend. A London one this time with Arsenal v Chelsea. Now, Arsenal lost to Manchester United 1-0 at the weekend. Chelsea thrashed Everton 4-0, which, given how Everton started the season, perhaps was an interesting scoreline. Sam, this is another derby, like I said, plenty this weekend. What are you thinking ahead of this one?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really get much better for women's football weekend to have 3 derbies in one go. I have to say, I know sort of always allude back to this, but Arsenal, again, have real injury problems. And I think that gives them a real disadvantage because they've brought in players to strengthen their defence, an area that they sort of identified, the likes of Maritz, who's played Champions League football, Steph Catley, who's played out in the States and Australia. And then you sort of look forward to seeing those players up against the best, and then we're unable to because they're injured. So then Arsenal are having to shift their team around. And for me, so I think they're going into this with a slight disadvantage to maybe if they had a fully fit squad. Also, the likes of Jordan Nobbs out injured as well. But Chelsea they look very strong. I feel like they've got world-class players around the whole pitch. So and Chelsea seem to always keep taking points off Arsenal. So Arsenal need to find a way to beat these big teams. But I would say Chelsea go in as favourites. Sammy, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'd agree with you. I do think Chelsea go into this one as favourites. Obviously, you mentioned it. Arsenal have got their few injuries, but it'd be nice to see some people that wouldn't usually play in those positions. It'd be nice to see what other talent they do have and see if they have something that could back that up and possibly take the game to Chelsea. But yeah, I am expecting Chelsea to take the points on this one.
And Megan, we actually have a question for you. And it's, who's been the best signing of the season, do you think?
Oh, gosh. The tough one. There's been so many signings. Probably an underrated one was Chloe Kelly to Man City. Whenever I've watched them, she's been absolutely on fire. So I'm going to go with that one because for me, there's all these players that have come from abroad that I've seen a few of them set things on fire, but yeah, she's good. She looks really sharp, and she's my type, I think.
Definitely have to agree with that one. And what are your thoughts on the big derby?
Yeah, God, it's gonna be a good game. But like you said, I'm going with Chelsea. I think I've watched them this season, and the depth in their squad is just unbelievable. I think they're unbeaten in their last 26 WSL games or something like that. So it's going to take something very special to beat them.
Absolutely. And one final question then for you again, Megan. What is the best goal you have scored? Now, I'm thinking this is ever. So you can go. I know you're saying you're 27 now and you've just turned professional, but 27 is peak time. So we've had this in on one of our social media channels, Megan. What is the best goal you have ever scored?
Oh, the best goal. I'd probably say when I was at Tottenham and we beat Brighton in the Conti Cup. Obviously, we were in the Championship at the time, and I scored in that game. I was playing right back actually in that game, so to get on the score sheet as a right back, I'd take that. But yeah, it's probably my favourite goal that I've scored. Chipped the keeper from out.
Oh. Love it, Megan. See, Sammy, defenders can score, can't they?
You'd like to think so. I had 3 or 4 chances in the last game and I couldn't turn it in.
This weekend. Oh, well, when you get back to playing.
I'd say
yeah, absolutely.
I take more assists anyway than goals.
No way. What? I think you're just saying that. It's the best thing you ever could score, surely, isn't it?
No, I said I get more assists.
Oh, you get more assists. I thought you said you'd take them. I was like,
yeah.
Hey, look, assists. Assists are golden. We all know that, and the strikers couldn't do it without the assists. Well, let's just have a recap then of what's happening this weekend. You've all spoken so eloquently and brilliantly with your knowledge about the WSL. So yes, Saturday we've got the Manchester derby, Manchester United v Man City. Aston Villa play Birmingham in the second City derby. Everton against Reading. Bristol City, Megan's team, take on Tottenham Hotspur, her ex-team. Nice tasty one for you, Megan, as well on a personal note. West Ham against Brighton, and Arsenal v Chelsea in another derby in London. Wow, that's pretty much all we've got time for today. Megan, best of luck against Spurs. Who knows? You might even get a goal, seeing as we've been talking about it. And Sammy, thanks to you. Just a quick one, Sammy. What are the plans for being back playing and things as well? Because I believe you've stopped at the moment, but hoping to.
If I wasn't injured.
Oh, you're injured at the moment, Megan. My apologies. When are you back?
I've done my ACL.
Oh, my bad, Megan. I'm so sorry. When are you back? What's the forecast? Are you back on the grass yet, or is this a recent injury?
Not till next season now. So.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, Megan, to hear that. I was looking through the team sheets. I was like, "Where's Megan?" So my apologies. But fingers crossed for your recovery.
No worries.
Has that been just out of interest? Has that been hampered by COVID at all in terms of getting your rehab right?
No, I've been very lucky. Well, I say lucky, but I did it in pre-season, first contact session back. So really tough, obviously really tough to take, but I've had great support from the club. I had my operation within 2 weeks. I'm 3 months down the line now, so it's tough, but yeah, no, they've been great support, and I'm very lucky that I've got that support around me, because many clubs obviously aren't in training at the minute. So I'm very lucky to be able to go in the gym and still do my rehab there.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck with that. And Sammy, when are you hoping to be back playing? Because you've stopped altogether at the moment, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we're very optimistic and we want to be back in December, but I can't see it happening. It's very difficult to know. It's very difficult to know what the FA are going to say and what the government are going to say, really. But we're still training, obviously doing our own sessions and everything we can on Zoom to stay in touch. We're just hoping it gets back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, best of luck to both of you with your respective returns. And Megan, we do look forward to seeing you back on the pitch next season. I did wonder why you're missing from the team sheets. Sam, thanks to you. Where are you this weekend? Are you at a game?
Yeah, I'm actually at 3 games this weekend, so bit of a busy one. I'll be at the Manchester derby, the Everton game, and then West Ham. So yeah, couple of road trips for me, but really looking forward to it. And actually, just before we do end this, we've got one more question from Michael, and he says, will Alex Morgan hit form soon? So Megan, we'll go to you as Tottenham are playing Bristol. What do you reckon?
I think everyone's so eager to see her and keep forgetting she's actually not long been on return from having a baby. So it's difficult, but you can't deny how good she is and how class is permanent, right? So I'm sure she'll be back hitting top bins in no time.
Yeah, I suppose you've actually seen firsthand sort of a player, look at Helen Ward coming back after having a baby and actually sort of looking so sharp. And for me, that was so impressive. What was that like for you as a teammate?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's great that Hels is obviously still playing. She's had 2 children now, and she's still on top form, and it just shows that it is possible. Obviously, Sarah Wiltshire as well, and she's technically one of the best players I've seen. So, yes, I can't imagine how hard it is changing your body and things like that. But yeah, I'm sure Alex Morgan will be stepping on that pitch and be starting games very soon. But don't forget that Spurs have got other quality strikers as well. It seems to be forgotten at the minute with all this talk of Alex Morgan. But Rihanna Dean, I want to see her start doing well this season too.
Absolutely.
But not on the
cutest,
But not on the weekend.
Not this week. Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Alex Morgan's little one is just 6 months old, and having had one a year ago myself, I cannot imagine playing football at the highest level. So it's quite incredible from her. And if you go on her Instagram, I think it was cutest picture of her with her little one after the game at the weekend. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. Great to speak to you, Megan and Sammy. Sam, enjoy your road trips this weekend. Get some good snacks in the car. And thanks for joining us. Check out our social media channels as well. We're at Proper Ballers, and you'll find us there. And thank you for watching.